Today I'd like to talk about learning. I like to think I'm learning all the time. I listen to educational podcasts. I watch TV shows that educate me about different topics in the world. I watch YouTube videos. All of these things give me the illusion that I'm learning when in fact I'm just entertaining myself. Most of what's covered is lost within the first 5 minutes of turning the thing off. So I thought I'd find a better way to learn. So I enrolled in a course where I got to watch videos that taught me how to learn. The trick was to implement some of these strategies. I've never had much of a problem learning how to do concrete operational thought type projects. I build billy carts, I weld, I learn to dance. But learning things that involve memory seem to be difficult for me. I've always had trouble learning names and learning dates and numbers and those types of things that didn't seem to connect to everything else. So this course, I decided to try and practice memory. I've tried strategies like mnemonics and some others, but they never seem to work too well for me. So this time, I decided to use some of the methods that have worked for me in moderate sort of ways. I'm a teacher, and trying to remember students' names I've always found difficult. I'm not a teacher that has a class of 30 students for a whole year. I have a class of 15 students. Well, I have 6 classes of 15 students, and I generally have them for maybe 3 months, and then they move on and I'll have another set. Trying to remember these names quickly and then recalling them later has proven difficult for me. Now, at the beginning of the lesson when I call the roll, I mark on a sheet where each individual student is sitting and then attempt to call them by name as many times as possible throughout the lesson. When the classes are doing an activity that doesn't directly involve me, I go through the names on the sheet and see if I can recite each name in random order throughout the classroom, then change my position in the classroom and see if I can recognise them by the backs of their heads. By repeating these names as often as possible while they're in class, and then after they leave the class, attempting to go through in my mind the same group again, and then attempting to do it the following day, just remembering where they were sitting, what they looked like, and their names. Now, I've attempted to learn methods of recording people's names in the past, and it's never done me much good. This method might not be the most efficient, but it seems to be working for me. Sometimes the best way to do things is not necessarily what's recommended and the fastest way, it's what works for you. Deliberate practice in this instance seems to be making a difference. Another strategy that seems to work is interleaving. Doing one activity for a little while, then switching to a different activity for a while, and then coming back to the original activity. By changing focus all the time, we're revisiting the same content. Revisiting the content on different occasions seems to make it sink into the brain better than simple repetition. Earlier in this video, I told you that I was a teacher. Now, I've always believed that the best learning my students did was when they were being tested. Not because of that ramp-up period towards where they were being tested, not where they studied hard the night before to try and get the information into their heads so that it would stay long enough so that they could pass the test. In fact, a lot of my students only seem interested in passing tests, not interested in learning at all, which disappoints me really. On the bright side, one of the best strategies of learning is testing. That's partly where my memory exercises of testing myself on the students' names help to increase my learning. My students learn best by being tested. It actually helps to fix that information into their minds. And if I can test them again on the same material on a different day, that also works quite well. Incidentally, this video is the very first podcast that I've ever loaded onto YouTube. Thanks for watching. I've tried strategies like mnemonics. What else have I done? I've tried strategies like mnemonics. There's a few others. Anyway,